Noted in a posting up on our website promoting today's show, Todd, that we probably would touch on this field house facility. I'm assuming that was the #1 topic, right?
It is, yeah, and actually it's all of our facilities. We'll give you an update and some of the ideas coming around the field house. So we'll go ahead and cover a lot of that.
Well, I'll start with the field house.
Okay.
Because it is a buzz in the community.
It is.
I mean, a lot of people that I talk to, first question always is, where are they going to put it?
Yep. And first of all, thanks, Gordy, for letting me come in
Sure.
and talk to you about this and your listeners out there. I think it first started when we had the previous radio show, and people started coming up to me and saying, "Hey, I heard there's this idea of a field house," and I've had a couple people that said, "Just go ahead and build it." Now, well, it's not quite that easy.
Yeah, right.
As you know, we are in the very preliminary talks of talking about this and other facility pieces within our school district, but this certainly is a highlight, especially since we've involved the city in some of these discussions. And in a couple of weeks, we hope to talk to the other leaders in the community, the Shattuck headmaster, the principal at VA, and of course the city and the county administrators and the hospital administrator. We're gonna have a good conversation about what's realistic, location, sites, things like that. What would you like to see with this whole field house, and how can we all work together? So like I said, really preliminary. I have my idea where I'd like to see it. That could be totally different than a lot of other ideas. For example, my idea of having our district office was to have it at the high school, and lo and behold, it ended up at the middle school. But I would love to see the field house at the high school. To me, it makes the most sense. It's a connection with our current programs that we could use. It's a central location for the community. It's a draw for other communities to come in and see a field house, if that's what it's going to be. And it's a really positive promotion of the community when you have something like that asset within.
So would it replace your practice fields or what?
We don't know that yet. I'm assuming that it would go south. So it could be, there's some property that's for sale close to the soccer fields on the east side that's available, that the city and the school district have been talking about, and that's all public knowledge. And so there could be some relocations of things. We have a very nice set of tennis courts at the middle school. Maybe we expand those tennis courts and relocate everything to the south and to the east of the high school. But the whole thing is we're pretty tight at the high school right now, and I'm not sure how that would work with the city engineers and how that all could really come together, or even if it's even possible. So there are a lot of questions out there and not a lot of answers yet, but we'll get there.
Some other sites I would assume have been.
Yeah, we talked about the middle school. We've talked about the current where the hockey arena is and places like that. It's really, there hasn't been anything that's been nailed down as far as where a location would be. We've talked about 3 full-size basketball courts, 4 full-size basketball courts, an indoor track. A lot of different conversations that are happening that eventually over these next few months we'll have that nailed down.
And I was at the basketball game, as you probably know, Friday night, broadcasting the big win, boys, Faribault over Northfield. After the game, walked over to Chad Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Talked a bit with him. And a gentleman stopped by while we were talking and said, "I will vote for that field house if you put artificial turf in it."
Artificial turf in the field house. So that's interesting. There is, you have to have a base floor, and there are field houses that you roll out the artificial turf. I've never seen an artificial turf within the field house unless it's like a dome, like Austin has, or like Northfield has. Yeah, those areas. But no, I have. Interestingly enough, I didn't know what sort of reaction we'd get after our show a month ago, but.
Right.
I'm sure there's people that are concerned about the taxes and the costs, and we are too. But overall, it's been pretty supportive.
Yeah. Well, I think people are pretty excited because they see other communities doing it. And the old feeling, well, why can't we do that?
Right. And why can't we be ahead of the game instead of always reacting at the end of the game? So in the Big 9, there's not that many field houses out there. In fact, I don't think Rochester actually owns their own field house. I think they use the RCTC area and some of those others. But we could be one of the first and make a really nice impression in the Big 9. And anytime you make a positive impression in your conference, it always reflects positively on the community, particularly the school.
Well, we've been through a couple of springs here recently where it's been a scramble to get in your softball games. You probably couldn't put a baseball game in there,
Right.
but you could put a softball game or two in there.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. All those things are on the table of what we could actually have as activities. It doesn't have to be just volleyball, basketball, tennis, and some of those others. You could have, we've actually talked about if we wanted to open up our adult basic education and have a daycare close by, we could put a playground within the field house, for kids, and it could be for preschoolers or whatever program you want to have it. So there's a lot of great ideas on the table. It's just a matter of organizing it now and trying to figure out, generally speaking, what the cost is going to be and how that's going to affect
I don't know
us.
if you've been north, but Dundas has a dome now.
I have seen that, and I think a private person.
Yes, three people
went in together, and mainly for field hockey, I understand. And yeah, that's great. And if we have any private donors out there that want to give a little bit of money towards this project, that would be great.
Well, I was thinking that maybe while you're talking to the hospital.
Yeah, all that
Lino wanted to
piece.
put their name on it or something.
Well, that's all open. And
They've got the bucks.
Well, and Mr. Wolf is great at doing things like that. All those things are great pieces, and we can collaborate for those whole things. We just have to figure out what that piece is going to look like and what it's going to be.
I'm sure the school district would not be opposed to,
No.
have somebody step up, and if they want their name on it, well, KM Telecom Stadium over in Casson. They put in that turf stadium, KM Telecom paid for.
Yep, and that that's a school board decision. So, and some school boards are different than others. They have to figure out what they want and how much advertisement they want to have on there.
Right.
And if it's for an initial build and a one-time cost for advertisement, then that's okay. But for continuing expenses, sometimes boards are a little leery of that because advertisements can pull off anytime, and then you lose that continuing expense. So for one-time expenditures in this type of a project, it would be, in my opinion, it would be a great idea.
The Sesker Fieldhouse.
No, that's not going to happen. It might be the Gordy Fieldhouse.
No.
Yeah, so
I haven't got the bucks.
I like the Falcon Nest and things like that we've talked about before, and some of those other mnemonics. But I think the other thing I just want to make sure we emphasize is that for the school district, the Fieldhouse is a great thing, and we want it to be part of the community. But our priorities are still safety and security of our buildings, and our classroom redesign, our academic piece. That's going to be a very high priority when we start moving forward with this for the school board. So it can't just be a field house. It's going to have to be part of a larger project, which includes a lot of the designs in front of the schools that make our schools safer and entries more comfortable for people to come in.
So what are we talking here?
Yeah, for an example, an easy example would be like Lincoln School. Lincoln has a very small entrance.
Yes.
We would like to expand something like that. It might not even be on that east side. Maybe we go to the west side. Maybe we separate traffic so you have parents dropping off kids on the west side and the buses coming on the east side. Last year, I don't know if you remember, but we had a little boy get hit by a car while coming across the street where the buses are. So safety is an issue. But we would like to also make that entryway a lot safer. It's really hard. Our secretaries do a good job of beeping people in on that little vestibule. But it would be better if we had a larger area that's more secure, so when parents come in, we know exactly what parents are coming in. The example let me just give you a realistic example. At Lincoln, a parent could be buzzed in by the secretary. The steps going up to the classrooms are right where the doors are. And so that parent can come in without going to the office, go up those steps and into our classrooms without us really even knowing about it other than the buzzing of the secretary. So there are a lot of things like that. Jefferson's another one that we'd like to really take a look at, the security. Our high school is another one. We would really like that not only secure but also safe zones. We have a couple of zones right now in our high school. You've heard about the fights that was in the Faribault Daily News the other day. We would love to make a couple of those zones more conducive to learning and less conducive to isolation and potential issues with students that go in the hallways. So there's a lot of things we're looking at to make our schools safe and secure. And we want to make sure that that's part of the conversation as well as the field house.
So these fights are more than normal?
I would say it's different now because kids who are involved in some of these fights, they really don't care if there's an administrator or a police liaison in the vicinity. They'll just have a fight. So we want to try to figure out a way that we can eliminate that. And one of those ways we can do that is to get rid of some of those places within the school so it's a lot more visible. And it sounds complicated, but a lot of schools are really looking at different ways where they can eliminate bullying and these issues with students through construction. Red Lake is a perfect example. When that whole incident happened at Red Lake, one of the themes that they had when they did their new construction of their new school was to get rid of the bullying. So that was part of the theme within that school. And there's classrooms that are open more, there's more visibility, and there's less hiding places. So we'll be looking at that.
So not as many hallways.
Not as many hallways, maybe a little more open so people can see within. We still want the outside structure to be secure.
You've seen the Cass and Manorville expansion?
I have not yet. I haven't been over there for a while.
Because it seems to me that they must have had that in mind too.
Mhm.
Because it's more open.
Right, and a lot of schools are going to that. They feel that when it's more open, there's less chances of folks having the kids having the bullying issues and also having the discipline issues that we deal with the fighting.
Yeah, not as many hallways.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, they do have lockers,
Mhm.
but the lockers are in an open area, row after row after row.
Yeah, a tight open area. So when you
Yes.
get a bunch of kids in a hallway and you're passing time, that can be an issue too. You get a lot of kids in a small space, that can also be an issue. So we're going to look at all those different aspects in all of our different buildings in the district.
Superintendent Todd Sesker of the Faribault Public Schools is with us. I know last time we visited, you said you'd probably be doing a formal community survey.
Yep, we're not quite there yet. Right now, the school board did hire an architect, so that was a direction that the ad hoc facility committee recommended after reviewing all the buildings in the district. They thought it was worth investing money into hiring an architect to move this along.
Again, not just the athletic field house, but we're talking about
All the
safety
facilities.
and security of all the buildings in the district.
That is exactly right, including the field house. Yes, all those will be examined. And then as the process moves along, the architects will again have a group of community members, which I've already sent the information out to the current ad hoc facility group folks. There's about 25, 35 people, and I've gotten some really good responses that they want to be on this committee. I would invite anybody who is interested in being on this committee to give me a call at 507-333-6010, and we would love to have you participate on this committee to investigate the actual construction, remodel, redesign that these architects are investigating to see what the community will be able to afford. And that's happening, that'll start happening between January and March, and we'd love to have you on there. Just give me a call and we'll put you on that committee.
All depends on how big you want to make
Mhm.
this field house
Yep.
as to the cost.
Yep.
Any-
And what's in it?
Any dollar figures have been
No.
discussed?
Well, there's new redesign and remodel. There's different costs within each of those different structures. So it could range from $190 a square foot all the way up to $240, $250 a square foot, depending on how much remodel is involved. So we really haven't seen it. And also the construction cost is gradually going up. So we don't want to give a cost right now that could be a lot more later on. So we want to make sure that when we get involved in that whole process, the architects who are the experts at this give us a cost that they're very comfortable with. So I don't want to throw anything out there yet.
What could help pay for this,
Mhm.
frankly, is having other schools utilize the facility too. For example, in the spring, when you have wet weather, you could have multiple softball games in this
You bet.
facility. They'd have to pay you, obviously, to use it. That would help pay for it, right?
That would help pay for a lot of the maintenance piece of it. Yep. The parts that would be cool to work with the city and Shattuck and BA and some of those other entities that are out there, the hospital, would be if they want to help us financially, that would help offset the cost and in turn help reduce the tax. So that's kind of the mode that we're thinking about the construction. We haven't discussed the ongoing cost of the additional square footage, but as you can imagine, a large 90,000 square foot field house is going to take some maintenance. So how are we going to determine we're going to maintain that facility? Certainly when you have a volleyball tournament or a basketball tournament, you're going to draw in 50, 60 teams over one weekend. And you can certainly charge those teams outside of our school a dollar amount. My daughters were in JO volleyball. Even though it cost a lot, we didn't seem to have any problem paying that extra dollar to have our teams join that tournament. So that's one way of charging it. So there's a lot of different ways you can use to.
Yeah. Now this is
look
a
at that.
field house, which is not a dome.
Correct. A field house is a solid structure. Yeah, I would say that if you looked at the quality versus normally the domes are a larger area, maybe a football field or something
Right.
within it. But the quality you get from a field house, there's no comparison. The quality of a field house with those solid structures and things you can do in it, to me, in my opinion, far outweigh a dome of some sort. If you're going to do a dome, you'd want to do a dome over the football field. It would certainly eliminate the goose.
Yeah, we've
stuff,
talked
and
about that
we've
before.
talked about that before.
The goose skunk can't be healthy.
Nope. So all those are things that we're actually going to look at it and see. That'll be, everything's on the list, and then as you know, we'll reduce that list into something that we believe this community can support.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to Rochester, RCTC, the dome there.
Yep, I've been there.
But they host a lot of playoff games, high school playoff games, because of that facility.
Mm-hmm.
And we are certainly here in Faribault, closer to the Twin Cities. It would be much more convenient for a lot of schools to come here, play their playoffs, and go all the way to Rochester.
That's exactly why we're looking into this. We want people to come to Faribault. That's the bottom line, and we've talked to the city about this. They're very interested in it because we think that it's a draw to Faribault, and it's a positive draw that would put a positive light on Faribault. So we think it's a good idea.
There's no reason why other people couldn't help us pay for it.
Nope, I agree.
I think it makes perfect sense.
And if others have other suggestions out there, please have us give us a call. There are more options than us just going to the taxpayers and asking for a tax increase to support this. There are a lot of options out there, and if you've got one, let us know.
And to have it on the high school campus, you're thinking it would help with your physical education programming too.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. It does. It helps with curriculum, not just Phi Ed, but it also helps with other classes that like to take advantage of it. I don't know if graduation can be put in there, but if you have a graduation, maybe we can have less turmoil with parents wanting to come in. We can have more room for people to sit.
I have to be honest, when I go to graduation, I prefer to be up at the
Gym.
auditorium.
That's good. I'm just thinking of different options
The
for parents.
seating
who are
is
in.
much nicer.
It is, except for if you can't get in, then it gets to be a little bit.
Well, I suppose.
Yeah, tough. But no, I agree. The setting that we have at the Faribault High School right now is excellent. We just have a lot of people that want to come in and see.
Sure.
So a lot of options out there.
Which is a good thing.
It is a good thing. It is a good thing.
I mean, you want people to support the students in their big day.
Yeah, well, and you know what? We want people to be proud of our schools too. And I'm not so sure. We certainly have great internal staff with Jefferson and Lincoln. But if you look at our actual facility, you know, it needs a little help. We need to do some things with our facilities to make them appealing.
Roosevelt is fine.
Roosevelt's pretty good. We might do some things with safety, but Roosevelt's in really good shape. I would even say the middle school and the high school are in pretty decent shape. Maybe do some things with the entries. Actually, the high school too, we'd like to look at that industrial arts wing to make it more of a engineering pathway for students. We'd still keep a lot of the same courses, but we just need to redesign that a little bit.
Which reminds me, as long as I have you here, how's it going with South Central? You guys were working on a collaborative effort for the auto mechanics?
Yep, we do have credits with South Central College. That's going very well. We're in constant communication with them. Dr. Parker has been a great leader in that college, and the collaboration between the school and the college continues to be great. So no, we're very happy with
And I
that.
saw where she's a finalist,
I know. I knew that a little while ago. So
and
yeah,
I hope we keep her.
I do too. She's terrific.
I'm gonna miss her if she goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure the town will too.
Yeah, and you know, you look at it, and I'm sure what she's looking at is she doesn't have any reason to leave. It's just that it might be another opportunity for her, and she's Dr. Parker's done a great job since she's been here.
Most definitely. So again, folks, if you want to weigh in on all this, are you going to do a formal community survey and
Yeah, we're
phone
just
call,
trying.
or how are you going to do that?
Yeah, well, there's two choices. Of course, you can go the direction of doing a formal survey, a scientific survey, and that costs about $15,000 to $18,000. We would include, because we're including some academic goals in that piece too, so that we're not just going to the voters for this redesign and remodel, but we have some academic reasons why we want this. So we'd like to see what the community likes. We've talked about maybe doing a year-round school at one of the buildings, doing a STEM or a STEAM, which is extremely popular and going like gangbusters throughout the entire nation. We'd like to get a feel from the community how they like that, Spanish immersion or some sort of language immersion program in the elementary schools. All those things we'd like to put together into a survey, including the facilities and what sort of tolerance the community has for tax increase. So all those we hope to have around February, March. I'll probably be at another radio show here to talk about that survey and make sure parents are filling that out, parents and non-parents. Interestingly enough, we want to make sure that non-parents get a good feel for what this is all about, because almost 60 to 70% of our population in Faribault are folks that don't have kids in school.
I was just going to say, the
Yeah.
majority of people are not.
Yep. They're not parents of kids in
They
school.
don't currently have kids in school.
That's correct.
Some
we
of them
wanna
may
make
be
sure.
parents, but they don't currently have kids in school.
Yep.
And I'll never forget when my hometown put up a proposal to put up a new school. And I was visiting my mom at home. I saw it in the local paper, and I said to her, "Mom, are you going to vote for this?" "No, I'm not going to vote for that." I said, "Why not? That school is good enough for you and your siblings. It's good enough for these kids." And I said, "Mom, you know how many years it's been since we've been to school?"
Right. Yeah, things have changed. Even in the last 10 years, things have changed. But
Well, it's the technology piece alone. I mean, my
Yeah.
word, these buildings back in the dark ages when I went to school, I shouldn't say that because we're about the same age,
we are.
but they weren't built for this.
No, they
You know what
weren't.
I'm saying?
Well, you even look at the technology with auto mechanics. You look at all the garages now you go to, they're nothing like what we had when we were going to school. So we want to make sure our kids have those same opportunities other kids get.
Yes. Thanks, Todd, for coming in.
Thank you, Gordon. I
Appreciate it.
apologize for being a little
Oh,
bit late, so
it's
I'll make
very-
sure that I get there on time the next time.
Very much excusable there in that situation. It's a sad deal. You're in tune to KDHLAM, Faribault, Minnesota.